Hello, and welcome to English for Everyone, the special episode, Hot to Improve Your English, the podcast that helps you take your English to the next level, no matter where you are in the world or what your starting point is. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Whether you're listening on your way to work, during a walk, or just relaxing at home, thank you for choosing to spend this time improving your English with us. This podcast is for all learners, from beginners taking their first steps, to intermediate learners looking to gain confidence, to advanced students who want to sharpen their skills and sound more natural in real conversations. Learning a new language can sometimes feel overwhelming. There are new words, grammar rules, pronunciation challenges, and let's be honest, moments of frustration too. But here's the good news, you're not alone. Every week on English for Everyone, we're here to guide you, support you, and encourage you with practical tips, real-life stories, engaging topics, and the kind of motivation that keeps you going when things get tough. So take a deep breath, smile, and get ready to learn something new today. Whether we're talking about vocabulary, conversation strategies, listening skills, or cultural insights, you'll always find something useful here, something you can start using right away. Let's jump into today's episode and make your English learning journey not just effective, but exciting. Let's go! Improving my English has been one of the most challenging yet rewarding journeys of my life. When I first started, I knew just a few words and simple phrases, and I constantly doubted myself whenever I tried to speak or write. Over time, however, I developed a set of strategies and daily habits that truly helped me grow, not only in my linguistic abilities but also in my confidence. In this text, I want to share the techniques that worked best for me and that I believe can help anyone who is determined to improve their English, especially if you are a student or someone using English for academic or professional purposes. To begin with, listening was the first skill I focused on. It might seem passive at first, but in reality, active listening is essential. I started by watching movies and series in English with subtitles. At first, I used subtitles in my native language just to get used to the context. Later, I switched to English subtitles, which helped me connect sounds with their written forms. Eventually, I challenged myself to watch short clips, documentaries, and interviews without subtitles at all. One method that worked wonders was shadowing. I would listen to a short sentence, pause the video, and repeat it out loud, mimicking the pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation of the speaker. This simple yet powerful exercise improved both my listening and speaking skills at the same time. Speaking was the hardest part for me. Like many learners, I was afraid of making mistakes and being judged. But I learned that mistakes are part of the process, and the more I spoke, the faster I improved. I looked for every opportunity to practice: language exchange apps, online tutors, conversation groups, and even talking to myself when I was alone. I would describe my day in English or imagine dialogues with friends or colleagues. One tip that helped me a lot was recording myself. Listening to my own voice allowed me to identify pronunciation issues and notice whether I was using correct grammar. Over time, I became more fluent and less hesitant, and now I genuinely enjoy speaking English. Reading was another pillar of my learning strategy. At first, I read graded readers, books written for language learners with limited vocabulary and simplified grammar. As I progressed, I moved on to news articles, short stories, academic texts, and novels. Reading in English daily enriched my vocabulary and exposed me to different writing styles and grammatical structures. I kept a vocabulary journal where I wrote down new words, their meanings, example sentences, and sometimes even small drawings to help me remember them. I made it a habit to read actively, highlighting important ideas, underlining useful expressions, and summarizing paragraphs in my own words. These activities strengthened my comprehension skills and prepared me for more complex academic readings that in addition to the core skills of listening, speaking, and reading, I also worked hard on writing. I kept a daily journal in English where I reflected on my learning, described my thoughts, or commented on something I had read or watched. I also practiced writing emails, essays, and short stories. Feedback was crucial, so I often used online tools or asked for corrections from native speakers. Writing improved my grammar, vocabulary, and ability to organize ideas clearly and logically. It also helped me become more precise with my language and more aware of common errors I tended to make. One of the most important lessons I learned is that consistency matters more than intensity. Studying English for 20 minutes every day was more effective for me than studying 3 hours once a week. I built a routine that included all skills. I would listen to a podcast while walking, read a short article during lunch, write in my journal at night, and have a short conversation on a language exchange app whenever possible. Small habits, repeated consistently, produced great results over time. Motivation is key, but discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. I kept my motivation high by setting realistic and personal goals. For example, I wanted to understand TED Talks without subtitles, pass an English proficiency exam, and be able to present a project in English at university. These goals kept me focused and gave me a sense of progress. I celebrated small victories, like understanding a movie scene without subtitles or receiving a compliment from a tutor. These moments reminded me that I was improving and that my effort was worth it. Another powerful strategy one used was immersion. I changed the language of my phone and computer to English, followed English-speaking content creators on social media, subscribed to YouTube channels about my favorite topics, and read comments and discussions in English forums. This constant exposure helped me think more in English and made the language feel more natural and familiar. I also learned a lot of informal expressions and idioms that textbooks don't always teach. Immersion is not about traveling abroad, it's about surrounding yourself with the language in your daily life. One of the challenges I faced was learning to think in English. At first, I translated everything in my head, which slowed me down. To overcome this, I practiced thinking directly in English. For example, when I was walking or waiting for something, I would describe what I saw or what I was doing in English, even just in my mind. This helped me make the mental shift from translating to actually using the language as a tool for thought. It's not easy at first, but it becomes more natural with practice. Another key point is to embrace mistakes and see them as learning opportunities. I used to be afraid of making grammar errors or mispronouncing words. But I realized that even native speakers make mistakes, and what matters most is communication. Every time I made a mistake, I tried to understand why it happened and how I could avoid it next time. This growth mindset helped me stay positive and persistent. Finally, I found that being part of a learning community made a huge difference. I joined online forums, participated in discussion groups, and followed blogs and podcasts about English learning. Interacting with other learners allowed me to share experiences, discover new resources, and stay inspired. It reminded me that I was not alone on this journey and that many people around the world were working toward the same goal. To anyone who is trying to improve their English, I would say this: be patient with yourself, stay curious, and don't give up. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be moments of frustration and self-doubt, but there will also be moments of joy, pride, and real connection. English has opened many doors for me, academically, professionally, and socially, and I believe it can do the same for you. By listening actively, speaking bravely, reading widely, writing regularly, and staying consistent, you can reach a level of English that truly empowers you. Keep going. You are already on the right path. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of English for Everyone. I hope you found today's tips, ideas, or reflections helpful, and that you feel just a little more confident, inspired, and ready to keep going on your English learning journey. Remember, progress doesn't happen overnight, but every word you learn, every sentence you understand, every moment you spend listening like this, it all adds up. You're doing an amazing job just by showing up and staying committed, and I'm proud of you for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you'd like to support the podcast or share your learning experience, leave us a quick review or tell a friend who's also learning English, because this podcast really is for everyone. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and most of all, believe in yourself. Your English is getting better every single day. Thanks for listening to English for Everyone. Take care, and see you in the next episode.